हाँ तो मेरे भाई और बहनों और दुश्मनों, today we are going to be looking at a unique concept known as Nadi Navamsa. So welcome to a chart reading of one of you who I picked from my YouTube post. And it's amazing how many people born in 2000, 2005, 2009 are now putting their information more than like somebody born in 80s, 70s or 90s. It's so many, it's great. You know, you guys are the future. I've got a bright future behind me. So it's time to, make sure that you guys pay for my Medicare when I'm 70. Hopefully, if I make it. So I got to make sure you make money so I can eat. All right? Hopefully, you'll pay my car bills too, and my gas bill, and my internet bill, my AI assistant bill, my mortgage. So yeah, I gotta help you. Let's get started. Okay, so welcome to another video of taking your chart and analyzing it and showing you things as we do, especially with the Navamsa chart. So we have a chart here of this individual who is a Gemini ascendant, right? And their Navamsa is Aquarius. So the very first thing that you see that they are Gemini ascendant with Rahu, Jupiter in the ascendant in Gemini, and Jupiter, Saturn are also retrograde. Literally, do you know so many people that I try to look for? First of all, I keep hitting 6, 7 Cancer ascendants. Then literally all the ones that I saw, retrograde Jupiter, retrograde Saturn. I'm like, is there one? But that's okay. It's not I don't think it's a coincidence. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not, but the retrograde. Now, the very first thing that I will say, like when you see this Jupiter Rahu in the ascendant in Gemini, and especially trine from Mars. So the very first thing you will see that whenever you have a conversation with this person, they're going to be talking about work. Okay, it definitely has to be something connected with tech. But of course, what I see is that their money is definitely going to come through either health, debts, or loans. Okay, but when they're talking about work, what this person is going to do while they're talking and they're sitting with the colleague and they're punching in something on the laptop or computer and they're advising something, and they'll suddenly say, do you know there are aliens out there? You know, there's different species of aliens. Meaning a conversation is happening and boom, it just takes a complete 360-degree turn. And the other person like, what? Aliens? Bro, it's Tuesday, it's not Friday. This is too much. Okay? And there's naturally a duality in this person. You will see there's a both male and masculine, feminine side that comes out in this person. It's like they have this ability to become extremely feminine and extremely masculine at a go. And Rahu, Jupiter in the ascendant will also show this is a futuristic individual. And because Jupiter is retrograde, it's even more. Why? Because Jupiter is strong in his Cheshtabal, especially in the ascendant, where Jupiter actually gets his Digbala. Cheshtabal is the retrogression motion of the planet. So here what this person is like, they're constantly thinking about things that you will think as sci-fi. They're thinking 500 years down the line. And it's hard for Gemini with Rahu, Jupiter in the ascendant to think that I need to think about now, I need to think about next week. The problem that becomes with this Rahu, Jupiter, they think about 500 years down the line. They think about 60 years down the line. They're thinking about 20 years down the line. That creates unnecessary fear in this individual. There is fear. Okay. But the thing is, this is a person who, can you imagine, like in 1700s, somebody showing a picture of just a black rectangle and a small button on the bottom. So you know what? This is going to be the way we're going to communicate. See this? This is a screen. It's a glass. And then behind that glass is going to be these icons that you will press, and they're going to be like, okay, this person needs a lobotomy. So it's great that they can think beyond, but the thing is, for Gemini especially, with Rahu, Jupiter, and the ascendant, only plan for 1 week ahead. That's it. Only plan for 1 week ahead. But now we're focusing on Navamsha, right? So they're Aquarius and Navamsha, just like the last video. Why are there Aquarius Navamsha? Like, why weren't they born as a Sagittarius ascendant? Why weren't they born as a Scorpio or Cancer? Why specifically Aquarius? For this, we go back to the birth chart. And we see, where is the sign of Aquarius? Sign of Aquarius is the 9th house. Where Mars is, where Jupiter, Rahu are trine from. Saturn's 10th aspect is on the 9th house. This concentrated energy becomes the ascendant of the Navamsha. Okay? Is the ascendant of the Navamsha. And because of this, we see that internally the person is striving for technical, scientific innovation. This person is eccentric. I think it's so funny. Even the last chart I did was an Aquarius ascendant, but this time it moves into the 9th house. Okay, this is like, they use the word in Hindi like Sanki. It's kind of like an aghori. You're trying to have you're on a date at a nice restaurant with an aghori. This is what this person is, and this is why one thing I see is that this person is going to be completely consumed in their work, in their research, and especially the thing is disputes with the father. Disputes with the father has shaped this person's eccentricity. The other thing that I also see, just by seeing the Aquarius ascendant, the moment this person has gone out for education, although let me see how long. Yeah, they're 24 years old. So if they left their home for their higher education, there should have been something that would have occurred in the home life. Either mother's health would have taken back. Somebody in the family would have gotten into some major disputes the moment they left. And this person is going to be completely focused on the protection of career. Okay. And same thing, Aquarius has Leo in the 7th house. So we see what happens is and this is hard to explain to many people until I have to give this explanation, that when you're dating somebody in a relationship, you guys have been in a relationship for 5 years, and you're like, look where my Mars is, my Venus is, my Jupiter is. Do you know that doesn't even really matter? Because that relationship is actually Mercury. That relationship is a friendship. It hasn't turned legally in any shape or form. The moment it turns legal, now Venus and Mars and Jupiter becomes activated, because Mars shows the role of the husband in the chart. Venus shows the role of the wife in the chart. Jupiter is the Jataka, the individual themselves. And the relationship between that begins to create this chemical reaction, this fusion. Okay? But I want to also take a very unique approach. Okay? And one thing I see is that this person is going to be responsible for finding their spouse. And most likely they will find their spouse through social media, online, dating websites. But what I want to show you here is something known as Nadi Navamsa. Meaning, if let's say somebody just gave you their ascendant, okay? They gave you their ascendant and they gave you their Navamsa ascendant. You should be able to say something by knowing what their birth ascendant is and Navamsa ascendant is. Like I showed you with the ascendant. So if you look at the 10th house of profession, is Pisces. Where does that go into the Navamsa? In the 2nd house. In their career, they will use their speech and voice. And their career will definitely give them a big bank account. Because the 10th house sign is going into the 2nd house, and we see Jupiter sitting with Sun in the 2nd house. One's career leads to one's prestige. In a way, you can say although this is just something I'm saying. It creates a Sambhasan yoga for the career itself, because the career house goes into the second house. And you will see, whenever they're working with this 10th house, they'll always somehow discuss about their lineage, their pride of their religion, their caste, and they're going to always be focused on how do I make that big money and invest that money. Investment is always in the head through work. Like they're working and they're calculating, this is my salary this week. Okay, I'm going to be investing this much and this much. Why? Pisces is the sign of investing, and it goes into the second house of wealth and money. 7th house is Sagittarius. Where does Sagittarius goes? Goes into the 11th house with Mars and Sagittarius. Right? Let's not even look at the planets. 7th house goes into the 11th house. So regardless of how the marriage is going to be, marriage ultimately gives them fulfillment of desires and property and gain of wisdom, knowledge. And yes, this person will also get married. Why? Because Jupiter's retrograde goes into the 12th house where it looks at Venus. And this is a male chart. But it is going to be late. Marriage is late. That's very simple. But the other thing that also happens, okay, you see the 3rd house with the sign of Leo, okay? 3rd house goes into the 7th house. What does that show? Courage, valor, and absolute kingly effort is going to be required to maintain the marriage. Anything, because see, 3rd house is your valor, where you show strength. This person is going to show strength in their marriage. They're going to have to show strength in their marriage. But at the same time, marriage, especially with Aquarius ascendant in Navamsa, becomes a bit barren. Meaning no matter what you do, like you could be Ambani and you have all the resources of the world. And you can provide all the resources of the world to the spouse, and it's still not going to take out the fire that is burning there, making things hot. It's like a desert there. Now, how do you combat this? How do you combat? Well, first of all, the sign of Leo naturally is the 5th house of the zodiac. Like natural, we call it Kalpurusha Kundali. We call it the natural zodiac cycle. It's the 5th house of children. Children actually become a glue because Jupiter, who's the significator of children in the Navamsa, I'm sorry, not in the birth chart, okay, is with the 7th Lord Sun. So the balancing factor here becomes children. When both husband and wife focus on the upbringing of the children, the dryness has a little bit of the mirage of the water. On the other hand, if I was giving this person a reading, I would tell them right after marriage, go to a particular linga. I don't have that list with me, and neither I want to memorize it. Okay. But I would tell them to go to a certain Jyotirlinga right after marriage to visit it, because that will take away all the things. And especially because Rahu Ketu is in a 1-7 axis in the birth chart, this person cannot rise in their homeland. At least at minimum, they have to go 1,000 miles away from where they were born. 1,000 miles minimum, otherwise go to foreign lands. Unless you are in foreign lands, that's great. But you must go to foreign lands. Usually I don't see people from Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore wanting to move. Like I actually get people, even after I tell them, especially like Singapore, you have to move. And they're like, give me another remedy. I don't want to move. I have all my family here. I love it here. This is great. I'm like, how is this great if you're getting a reading from me regarding your career and you haven't gotten a promotion in 9 years and you're barely making your bills? But to each their own. I'm not a Brahma. I cannot change your karma. I'm just a small medium that can guide you to a certain extent. And if you don't want to take that guide, that is destiny. That's called destiny. It's like in Vastu, somebody will always lose. Vastu hardly can be good for everybody within the family. Some door is going to affect this person in that way. Some main door is going to affect this person that way. And this is what happens. And especially with, do you want to know the greatest remedy of marriage? It can clearly clear your marriage. But it's a remedy you'll never do. It's a remedy you will never be able to do now. You will not. I can tell you it's the greatest remedy, and you will not. Not only marriage, but also mental health issue. Why is mental health has become a big thing? When in my days it was barely, you were shocked if somebody was seeing a psychologist. Why? Because of that device that you're watching me from. That smartphone. Your Rahu is constantly activated 24/7 because even when you're sleeping, that phone is right next to you. Its vibration are right next to you. So for those people, if Rahu, and remember, Rahu especially, like in the 2nd, 4th, 7th, 9th, 11th, will affect the marriage. And somehow, some way in this position, it may also be affecting your 7th Lord, Venus or Dharakarka. This is why nobody can get away with it. So what's the solution? Get rid of your phone. Are you going to? Absolutely not. You can put all kinds of shields on it. It's not about the shield. There's nothing, the radiation is coming out, fine. But it's you actually having that device, Rahu. It's active. I don't care if you turn it off at night. It is active in the daytime. Okay. Then, if you look at the 4th house of the birth chart with the sign of Virgo, okay. My God, why is okay? Now it's good because I thought my battery was running out on my monitor. Okay, so Virgo. Where does the 4th house Virgo go? 4th house of Virgo, and what is a 4th house? 4th house is comfort, home, happiness. Okay. Goes into the 8th house in the Navamsa, meaning their comfort and happiness, conveniences, are going to be strongly connected with the in-laws. How is that possible? Several ways. One of the most basic ways, in-laws could be so rich that they give you many, many things in life. They give you a home. I know actually somebody who in marriage, after marriage, do you know, they got 2 7-Elevens. Okay, like in US, there's a store called 7-Eleven, which is mainly owned by Indians most of the time. But they got 2 7-Elevens. If you have 2 7-Elevens, you are racking in very good 7 figures without doing much. So this is how that happens. The other thing, on a more funny way, okay? If you are not keeping your in-laws happy or satisfied, spouse is going to come and create the dispute. Like, why don't you want to do this with my mom and dad? Why is it that you don't want to go with them? Why is it that you're not inviting them here? Why is it that when mom calls her, they will create that obstacle and disturbance of peace because there's something connected with in-laws that becomes active. Especially like, for example, like a health of in-law, and you're not paying attention to that. Let's say your husband's mother is sick, right? And husband is going there, and you have work, but he's also expecting you to be there, you to take care of. And when you don't, when you're focusing on something else, they will create that, or vice versa, your wife's father. So happiness is strongly connected with the 8th house. The other thing, what will create the imbalance of happiness here? This person will constantly error pick their wife's ability to handle money. They will completely nitpick that. And by nitpicking that, error picking that particular thing, it'll create disputes within the life of the marriage. Why? Because seventh house is the marriage. It's the ceremony. It's two people coming together. Now they have to move forward. You're going to have to move forward, right? You get an apartment, you get a home, then you start planning for children. That is the eighth house. The life of it. Okay? And again, I know every single way, every single, point that I discussed, I know many of you, okay, what's the remedy for this? Everything cannot be remedied. Everything cannot be rectified at all. You got to deal with this. Everything, and plus, sometimes even the remedy that is great will not work if it wants you to learn some lesson. If it wants you to learn some lesson, you will make some big mistake with those remedies, which people make. Like, for example, when people take my wristwatch course on getting the right wristwatch to wear for their time, I actually get angry in the reading. They will tell you. Some of them who have gotten a course and then take a reading, and they're sending me watches, like 3-4 watches, and they're all exactly what I said not to get. And then I get mad. I'm like, you didn't watch the course. You said you took my course and you took this reading, but you're getting every single watch that is going to harm me. Why? Okay, tell me, which chapter did you see this chapter? Did you see this video? Okay, then what is in this watch? One time I went through, before I even did the reading, I went 3-4 times. I wanted to know. Then I get to find out that they were just skimming through it. They're like, okay, let's quickly watch. You can't miss a single video on the wristwatch course. You missed one video, you're going to pick the wrong watch. That's how crucial it is, especially the miscellaneous folder. And the same thing then happens with any remedy. If your time is not there to get the right watch so you can change that circumstances or become more active in your goals seeking, it's not going to do that. You'll pick the wrong watches. Okay. Then we also see fifth house. Fifth house is children, education, besides 100 different things. I'm just going to stick to children, make it short. Fifth house is in the ninth house of Navamsa. And we talked about the marriage, right? So what happens after children? When children are born, what happens? Ninth house, fifth house goes in the ninth house of Bhagya. And right there is Rahu with moon. Moon is cash flow, Rahu is expansion. Birth of children will give this person huge expansion of money, but they have to be in foreign lands. They're going to have to be in foreign lands. And I definitely see somehow their spouse is going to be a network engineer. Somehow they're going to be a network engineer. Network, Mercury Ketu in the 7th in the birth chart. And Venus is naturally 10th from Mars. But actually, no, that would be more of their Venus would be more of, well, spouse as well, but I definitely, actually, spouse is going to be more, they would have done something with network engineering, but then shifted to pharmaceuticals. That's what would have happened with this. That's what will happen with this person when they meet this individual. And now, wealth. Okay. Venus is in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Padha 1. Okay. So their money and wealth is tied to their marriage. Money and wealth is tied to the marriage. The wife has to enter for them to really go from like average salary to something that, hey, I can now afford a BMW. I can afford a Mercedes Benz. Because the Padha 1 puts Venus second to itself in the Navamsa. And where is it landing if you put the same Venus back in the birth chart? In the 7th house. And 7th house is what? Spouse, wife. This is a male chart, so wife. The moment wife comes in, she's pushing forward that Padha. And I mean, I don't want to go too deep into this chart, which I easily can, because, regarding the spouse, their nature, this and that, especially even if I look at the Trim Samsa, not Trim Samsa, sorry, Dreshkan chart. See, the thing is, I know you guys think I only follow and do BNN and all that. No, naturally, I do everything. Naturally, whatever comes out, comes out. Do you know, like, even more than career, when I look at the BNN career type, the very first thing that I do when I cannot figure out something in the chart, I use my final Brahmastra, which is Karakamsha Lagna of the Jaimani. So I actually still use Jaimani. I use the Karkas, Amatya Karka, I use the Karakamsha Lagna. That really just, once I get the indication from Karakamsha, now the confusion that was there with me regarding the BNN or the Vedic solves itself. And of course, Jaimini is connected with Ketu. So it activates my Ketu very easily. Okay. Now, the other thing, 6th house. Okay. 6th house is Scorpio. Goes to the 10th house. What does this show? Career is going to be filled with enemies, competitions, disputes, and through that they get a big transformation in their life, in their professional life. Okay. So the 6th house sign goes into the 10th of the birth chart. Don't look at it as good or bad, because why this? If this person was trying to be an attorney, this might be the greatest alignment for this person. Because on day-to-day basis, they have to fight, they have to argue, they have to negotiate, deal with litigations. So it all varies from what the profession is. Okay. What the profession is. Now, of course, like if this person's trying to go for IT and CS, we're in such a weird time now. Literally since last week. We're in such a weird, awkward time that for me to say, yes, you should follow IT, computer engineering, it's kind of like becoming in 1920s telling somebody, yeah, you should go become a blacksmith. Yes, you should do horse cart. You should manufacture horse cart. We're in such a transition that it may work only 10% or 15% now. And those who actually say that, AI is only a tool. AI is only a tool. Okay. I guarantee you by end of this year, either Google or Sora AI are going to announce that we are releasing a full-fledged movie made with AI by AI. Okay? Full-fledged movie with music, songs, special effects, everything. Background music. We're releasing it and it's directed by AI. So the tool and the tool users is now one. So it's no longer just a tool for many, many things. And it's funny, it's like since last month or 40 days, majority of the people that I'm doing the reading for is Microsoft, Meta, Salesforce. Like 80% I've done readings of those particular people who were laid off looking for work. But yeah, like I said, astrologers are real economists. They're real economists. Okay. One thing I definitely, like I was telling about the mental health, that is, this person needs to focus on that. This person needs to focus on that. And I especially see it's somehow triggered through the mother. Mother is the error picker. And the thing is, this person's mother is going to become a big obstacle with the person they want to be with. Okay. So this is something, again, I'm not giving this person a reading. So I would be looking at many other dynamics. But I would tell this person, since I see them choosing this individual themselves, they should focus on that and not let the mother interrupt. Why? Because sometimes I would actually say, let your mother interrupt. Let your mother go and pick the one for you. In this case, why not? Because Mercury, which is the fourth lord, is in the seventh house with approaching to Ketu. While the dispositor is retrograde, mother's choice will be backfiring and pinching, like stabbing. Okay. So, anyway, I just wanted to share this for this week. Again, remember my actual zodiac sign course you can find about Gemini, Aries to Cancer. I put up charts of students last night. You'll see the pinpointed predictions. I actually now show the name of the person and their email and everything on my blank chart prediction course. But of course, all my consultations are here at this link, karasastrology.com. And if you're new here, subscribe so you don't miss these type of videos, including my pretty face. So anyway, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.